Berwick-upon-Tweed, Up Close and Personal, a study into StarForts of the world. If you're new to the subject of StarForts, just like myself, then you are going to find it absolutely fascinating and all-encompassing to the world in which we all live. This is your first step into the truth that has been hidden for centuries. In June 2022, some friends invited me to join them in Berwick-upon-Tweed to explore the up-and-coming subject of StarForts, and I discovered far more than expected simply from walking around the town and the walls. Firstly, Berwick is a small walled town built on a rocky outcrop on the northern shore at the mouth of the River Tweed that borders England and Scotland. Initially, you might think this is the perfect defensive position for a hill fort that could protect or control the entrance of the river. It has high walls to the northwest and east, and lower town walls to the south and west along the waterfront and dock area. Fine, you think, this is a fortified town, but look again. The ruined castle lies to the northwest of the town and is outside the large fortified walls. This is in the wrong place to defend anything, let alone the town. The town walls are just the dock or the sea defence walls, and still not as substantial as the high walls that are probably wide enough, in the most part, to have a two-way street running along the top, and wider than many of the roads within the walls. Then notice how far the walls are away from the headland shore of the North Sea, and notice the first bridge that crosses the Tweed. We are told it's the old bridge, but how could you get more than a sailing dinghy through all but maybe 3 of the 15 arches? The quayside is smaller than a busy fishing port. Clearly, something is wrong in the state of Berwick-upon-Tweed. So what's going on? These thick walls are not positioned correctly to be defensive. You're told that the windows to the rear of the bastions are the secret cannons to kill anyone that has managed to get past these invincible designs. Even a child could see that if you fire a cannon out of those windows, the only thing you will hit is the next bastion, as they are pointed directly in line with the next bastion's windows. There is a depression outside of these walls with another, now covered, wall at a distance away, approximately 75 metres at its widest point on the northwest side. There is also a promontory in the middle bastion that splits the area into 2 parts. So these windows are not windows for cannons, but are in fact sluices to fill the area that you might think of as a moat. There are ridges on the outside of the main wall that would allow you to quickly visually check water level. The level on the northwest wall is at ground level of the car park we now find in this area. The east wall has a larger area and a variety of levels marked, all above current ground level. At this time, it is my suggestion that the northwest moat is a reservoir for water pumped up from either the river or the sea. The east moat is probably a cooling lake. So what has happened to heat the water, and where did it happen? At this point, I have to thank Great Yarmouth Kathy, who was part of the original group staying in Berwick, for her input on this subject and many other subjects. This may be a leap of faith for some of you, but as we hope to demonstrate, these are not just wild ideas plucked out of thin air, but deduced from the available evidence that has been hidden in plain sight for many years. But we will work on explaining the whys and wherefores as we go along. I'd also like to thank Sandy, Jules, and Kath, and Mick, and I would have liked to have thanked Stuart, but he was unable to make it. Maybe next time, Stuart. So this fort is clearly not a defensive position on the coast, but something far more incredible. The most common elements of star forts, bastion forts, or citadels are the geometrical bastions, water surrounding the bastions, windmills on or near the bastions, and buildings radiating from central points or square. The central point are not always square and may often be pentagonal, hexagonal, septagonal, octagonal, but usually a geometric shape. A coastal location is ideal for both water and wind. The bastions are generally irregular pentagons. Often, a star fort on a headland such as Berwick would have a larger citadel slightly further inland. I believe Berwick is actually no exception, and you may just be able to make out the outline of the next fort at Halidon Hill, the centre being approximately 2 miles northwest of Berwick. If you look just north of the border, you might just see the boundary of the moat. The location of a rocky outcrop, as where Berwick is situated, might have given the designers and builders of the town an indication of what they were looking for before building. The buildings in the centre of a star fort usually have a tower housing a bell. You might recognise these as churches, cathedrals, or other public buildings. But this is not what they were designed for, and each of these would have had probably been situated over a geothermal well. It's probable that the bells were there as a warning of overheating or high pressure. It also may be possible that they had external pressure gauges that have now been repurposed as clocks. Has the penny dropped? At this point, you're either saying that we're all totally off our rockers, or you may be realizing that all is not what it seems, and the truth cannot be found in the teachings of history as you know it. Star forts, bastion forts, and citadels were the industrial estates of their time, with foundries and healing centres located centrally within them. But there is far more to discover related to these places, and we will be looking more into the surprising evidence we have for this and what we think might have happened to the rest of these places, as we should have an abundance of them around the world. If you are ready to be amazed, then watch on. Alternatively, close your eyes and return to your sleepwalk of life, of slavery and deception. My next few videos will be joining more dots that started with Berwick upon Tweed and will pass through time, stones, gravity, knowledge, mud floods, photos, and missing numbers, as well as the Great Tour, and with many more subjects to follow. But before I move away from Berwick, I must thank at least 3 of the lovely people there, starting with the lady I met on the walls on my first morning. She was concerned for my welfare after I burst out laughing after reading about the secret guns. I do hope she isn't employed by English Heritage. Secondly, Michael, who conducted the Berwick Town Hall twice daily tour, and his opening line on the morning of our tour: "We stand here in the great hall of the town hall, which is situated in the visible 3 stories of a 17-story building." Thirdly, Stephen, the pride of Berwick's Haven Holiday Camp, who spent almost an hour entertaining me with stories of his life in Berwick on our last morning, despite us not actually staying there this time. But I would recommend staying there, if only to meet Stephen. Join me next time on Our Story, where my stories seek to unveil the deceit of his story.